Joining us now, Craig Manson, Executive Director, Center for Environmental Science, Accuracy, and Reliability for bestscience.org. Craig, we welcome you to America's Forum.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Craig, your group has filed a lawsuit to end the special exemption given to the Bay Area. Tell us about the nature of your lawsuit.
Well, our lawsuit focuses on O'Shaughnessy Dam at Hetch Hetchy Valley, which is part of Yosemite National Park. For years, the Park Service has allowed Hetch Hetchy Dam, O'Shaughnessy Dam, and Hetch Hetchy Reservoir to supply water to San Francisco. And yet, every other water system in the state has to undergo what's called a Section 7 analysis under Section 7 of the Endangered Species Act to make sure they're not harming endangered species. Now, frankly, this often results in restrictions on the ability to deliver water. For some reason, the Park Service has chosen not to have Hetch Hetchy, which supplies San Francisco with water, have not required Hetch Hetchy to undergo a Section 7 analysis. And as a result, there are virtually no environmental restrictions on the water operations that supply San Francisco.
Yeah, well, Craig, a lot of people are saying the reason for the current exemption is because of that huge clout in the Bay Area, the number of voters there, and of course, Nancy Pelosi, as a former Speaker of the House, really typifies California's dominant leftist power structure. Do you believe California politicians are unfairly favoring the big cities over the rest of the state?
I think that's definitely the case. Our farmers in the Central Valley don't have the same political clout that the coastal representatives have, and I think that that's been exploited so that the coast has more room to maneuver on water than do our farmers. Our farmers in the Central Valley this year are getting zero allocation of water from the Bureau of Reclamation.
Craig, can I ask, critics say that your goal isn't to provide more water for fish, but actually to provide more water for big agriculture. How do you respond to that kind of criticism?
Well, in fact, it's a little bit of both, and I don't mind saying it's a little bit of both. The water that now is going to protect the Delta smelt, the small fish that lives in the San Francisco Bay Delta, could be going to farmers. Instead, we flush several 100,000 acre feet of water down the bay to the Pacific Ocean to protect this fish, and we don't even know that it's working. So our goal is to ensure that the fish really is protected by having it undergo an analysis under Section 7 of the Endangered Species Act, and that would result in more water for farmers.
So in other words, Craig, this Delta smelt, the California equivalent of the slimy slug, we don't in fact know if it's environmentally endangered. They refuse to do the sound scientific work needed to have it comply with the Endangered Species Act.
That's exactly right. And our suit is an attempt to force the Park Service to make that analysis and find out. They don't even know how many Delta smelt exist. They can't tell you. And as a result, they make a lot of suppositions instead of relying on good science.
You know, Francesca referred to big ag earlier, and that's not so much a derogatory term. That's just the reality in California. Given the interior of the state, there through central California and the Verdant Valleys there, all of America depends on California agriculture. To see the drought and the lack of water management getting what's needed for the irrigation of crops, what do we expect this year? Is this just going to be an absolute mess in terms of California agriculture?
Absolutely. This is a extremely critical dry year. It's probably the worst drought, one of the worst two droughts that we've had in a century, and it's going to be very difficult for farmers to make a living. It already has taken the toll by forcing a number of farmers to fallow their fields and so forth. But I'd like to make a comment about the term big ag. It's big ag in the aggregate, as you indicated, but frankly, most of these are family-owned farms, and they're small family-owned farms.
And we understand that the point that I always made, perhaps since I went to NC State, that land-grant institution with more than a healthy Department of Agriculture, agriculture serves us all at least 3 times a day. And when you get very serious, you know, but this is interesting. The urban mindset that believe power comes from a light switch and milk and food come from the corner grocery store. It's as if, Craig, there's a disconnection between urban America and rural America, those who are urbanites failing to understand the necessity of farming and having these agricultural abundances that now will turn into scarcities because of this water policy.
That's true. We have a saying out here, no water, no food.
That's one way to look at it. Of course, over in Arizona, Craig, we had a little bit of a more irreverent saying. We said, whiskey's for drinking, water's for fighting. And that's what happens in the West as we see these pictures of the drought. It brings home with stunning clarity what you are warning us about. Craig Manson, Executive Director of the Center for Environmental Science, Accuracy and Reliability, part of bestscience.org. We appreciate your take on this. We hope to have you back again real soon.
Thank you very much, Jason.
Craig, thank you again very much. Wow, if the earthquakes weren't bad enough, this drought in California and the misguided policy manipulation that's adding to the problems there, we thank Craig for filling us in. There is more straight ahead on America's Forum. Please stay with us.